This week's channeled message from the angels is about a difficult event on the horizon that could be happening in the near future. So welcome back to my channel, you guys. And if this is your first time here, my name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm, and I share messages every week here on YouTube. If you'd like to hear more messages like this one, don't forget to subscribe. So this week's message is it is about that. It is a bit of a harder message than we've gotten recently. It is about specifically, they're saying that there's a high potential that something could be coming that's already in the collective awareness, and it could be related to me. It sounds like related to the war in Ukraine. It sounds like it could be some sort of a nuclear or chemical attack. The details are in the message. The angels say it a lot better than I ever could. So, and they say that it is not guaranteed to happen, but it's a high likelihood. And they go into that. There's actually two parts to the message because I had to go back and get more clarity around that. But they explain it to us, and they talk about how the important part for us, if this does happen, is for us to stay. How are we going to receive it? How are we going to process it? How are we going to experience it? And how can we move this into something that brings us closer to peace? So go ahead and listen to the message. I hope you get a lot out of it, and please listen from the spirit of, yes, being prepared, but mostly so that we can be in the right state of mind to allow an experience like this one to move through us, to process it, to witness it, to let it move through us, and to move into a state of peace. So let's dig in. So here is what they're talking about today. And this is, like I said, this is letting us know, giving us some information about a possible upcoming event. They say, we say you are bearing witness to a period of transformation of all things, all meandering life forms in upheaval as you are transporting yourselves to this new dimension of self-awareness. The captivity of this incarnation is ready to be broken, and you can live with suffering no longer. There is, however, happenings on the horizon that bring in the sinking sensation of life ebbing from Earth. The nearness of this does occupy our minds. We see you now objectively, without pattern, no substance from which to draw a solution, no comprehension on this earthly plane for how to behave. And I'm trying to speak more slowly this time. Especially, I understand there's many of you that come from other parts of the world, and I can get excited sometimes, and I talk really fast. So I apologize for that. So I hear you. I see your comments going, please slow down. I'm trying. I get excited, and I talk a lot. So anyways, I'm slowing down. So this first paragraph, if we break it apart, they're saying the first part is saying they're talking about this whole process of our awakening, that we are bearing witness to a period of transformation of all things. So it's not just us, it's everything on earth is being transformed. Everything is incorporated into this process because we are all part of earth, that we are in the same way that all of our cells are part of our body, that what is in our you're saying you have slowed down. Thank you. An occasional comment in there like, remember to slow down. That would be helpful because even now I get talking and I start speeding up again. So an occasional reminder would be appreciated. So if you think about that like everything that's true in the micro is true in the macro, that what is true for our bodies is true for the earth, that just as like your eyes and your ears are part of your body, all of the things that live on the earth are a part of the earth. And so as she is transforming, we are transforming, everything is transforming. And they're speaking the meandering life forms, everything that moves, right? Everything that moves is going through a major transformation. So everything living. So then they go on to say, in the same paragraph, they say that we are transporting ourselves to this new dimension of self-awareness. And that's really what this awakening is all about, that it's about our self-awareness. And I think it's easier in a lot of ways to think of it that way and to understand it that way, that what we're moving into is less resistance to who we really are, that and we talk about this in a lot of different ways. You hear people talking about as we're moving into a new dimension, and it's definitely a change. But if you had to boil it down to what is it that we're moving into? It is opening up to more of ourselves, to getting rid of our resistance, getting rid of our karma, right? Opening up our awareness to be more of who we are and bringing more of that divinity onto earth. And holding fewer of those lower vibrations. So it's a shift in our frequency. We're raising our frequency. And that is about self-awareness. Because at the end of the day, when you cross over, you have this full awareness of what you are and who you can be and where your frequency is. And we're trying to all move into this a higher expression of who we are. So, and you're saying everything is transforming truth. Yeah, it's very true, right? So there is, however, happening on the horizon that bring in the sinking sensation of life ebbing from earth. And that is a heavy sentence right there, that something is going to happen, or that something could happen that would bring the feeling of life ebbing from earth, that a draining sensation, right? Something that takes the joy, the love, the feeling of life out of earth. And the nearness of this does occupy their minds, the angels' minds. So this is something that's coming up in the very near future. And I think it is not an accident that this is coming up right at this in the same timing as this eclipse season that we're moving into. And they are also saying that we do see you now objectively, without pattern, no substance from which to draw a solution, no comprehension on this earthly plane for how to behave. So this is saying that this is the kind of thing that would leave us just without, like, rudderless. Like, how do we even cope with this? How do we handle this? That there's no template. So this would be something that happens that is outside of our lived experience, of the people who are alive now on earth, that this would be outside of our lived experience. How do we handle this? So we don't have a template for it. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. And you're saying, Jen is saying you can slow it down. And thank you for saying that. That is true on YouTube. You can slow down the speed of the video. And I think it's that I think the issue that some people may have is that the grammar of the angels is so unusual that if you're not a native English speaker, it can be extra hard to understand. So I definitely understand that. So I just want to be sympathetic, because I want to make sure everybody who is wanting to understand and to listen has the option to. So, okay, so next paragraph says, what cannot be done is to wait in dissatisfaction, to harness your potential unwittingly to destinies you didn't start. But instead, we seek now in this enlightening discussion to share where you are, how the horizons open and part and make way for yourselves to move onward. So this is what this message is about. Yeah, you've said you feel the sense of rudderlessness. Yeah, and I think think of that as in the wake of a startling, unexpected, crazy event, and how it can give you that feeling of rudderlessness, where you really don't know, like, how do you move on from here? That's the feeling, right? And so they're saying is what cannot be done, so just to look at this paragraph again, what cannot be done is to wait in dissatisfaction, to harness your potential unwittingly to destinies you didn't start. So if this event transpires, they're saying that what they don't want us to do is to sort of lose ourselves in the event, to become, right, to harness your potential unwittingly to destinies you didn't start, to live in regret, to live in what didn't happen, right? And this is why I think they keep giving us the message over and over again that we have to be in a state of allowing, of being open, because we won't necessarily be equipped for our passage through what's coming, that we have to be guided. We have to be open to them and to our higher guidance to help us through and to benefit from all the good things that are coming our way, but also how to navigate the difficult things. That if we are trying to use our old templates and try to use the scripts that we maybe have imagined for our lives, that is unwittingly tying ourselves to destinies we didn't start. And that's what they don't want us to do. So they're trying to, through this discussion, to make way for ourselves to move onward. So they're trying to give us the information, say this is a possibility coming your way, and to help us to perceive it now so that we are more prepared to tune into them, to be open to them, to help to receive that help as we're moving through difficult things. They go on to say in the next paragraph, we see you are expecting upheaval and it may arrive. The opening is dawning. It comes upon you now. There are transgressions upon one another, unspoken harm that cannot be forgotten. This we salve, the wound opening. We create a barrier between you and all that is upstarting. The agony and ecclesiastic derision must disempower the many, and we plead with you now not to forget ourselves, to remember our presence, to understand yourselves, to offer the variations of experience to one another, and feel no shame, no regret for what does pass. It is only the humanity of exuberant thoughtlessness, care not spoken, not lived, not taken, a heedless disregard for one another's life forms, but it will pass. So this gives us an indication of what they're talking about. So they're saying that we are already in the collective consciousness. There is already an awareness of this coming. And this is what the angels are tuning into, that there are many of us who are seeing or hearing or feeling this possibility on the horizon. So it is already in our collective awareness, and that people are talking about it. They're talking about, and I think this could be something related to the war. I think this could be some sort of a larger scale attack, something that is much more disturbing, something that, as they say, that brings in the sinking sensation of life ebbing from Earth. So this could be some sort of a nuclear attack, a chemical attack. They're not specific. And I think it is in terms of, so I'll continue on. I think it's not important from their perspective that we know those types of details. What's important from their perspective is the energy, how we feel, how we cope, what do we do, those types of things. So they're saying, okay, so that many of us might be expecting this, that this isn't the collective awareness. They're saying the opening is dawning. So there's a possibility for this to arrive. And that opening, sort of like I've described before, how the angels see things. They see these horizons of possibility. It's sort of like these shapes that are turning and rotating. And as they move into alignment with where our current now is, then these are things that can happen. And this opening, this possibility is aligning right now. And this is what they're seeing. And that's what they're telling us, that this is a possibility right now. The opening is dawning. It comes upon you now. There are transgressions upon one another. So this is something where people are hurting other people. Unspoken harm that cannot be forgotten. So something that's really, really bad, something really bad is something that could happen. This we salve. They're saying that this is what they're trying to heal. They heal the wound opening. So the wound opening, the part saying that is difficult to forget, this is what they salve. This is the healing that they bring to try to heal that. So we create a barrier between you and all that is upstarting. So this is how the angels will help us. The agony and ecclesiastic derision, so the agony of this experience and the ecclesiastic derision. So when something bad happens, people frequently feel like they've been abandoned by source, by God, by the angels, right? And that ecclesiastic derision. So it is the agony, the pain of it, and the conclusions that people come to in terms of their own faith and how they lose faith. They're saying these things, the agony and that losing faith, must disempower the many. And they say, and we plead with you now not to forget ourselves. So in this process, to remember that they are there, even through really difficult things, they are there with us. And they say, to understand yourselves, to offer, and this is they're explaining why this type of a thing might happen. To understand yourselves, the people, we humans, we offer the variations of experience to one another. So everywhere through life, people hurt other people. People help other people. We have experiences that we share together. These are experiences that we offer to one another. And they're incorporated into our experience of what it is to be human, to experience the full range of emotions. And that's what they're talking about here. We offer the variations of experience to one another and feel no shame, no regret for what does pass. So they're saying that in this, there might be the tendency to be really hard on ourselves and to say, how could this happen? Who are we as a species that we would do this to one another? And they're saying to feel no regret, no shame, to not process it in that way, to understand what Earth has been up until now, the Earth School, that we have been offering each other, that we have all in different lifetimes played every side of the coin, that we have been the good guy and the bad guy, and we have done that. And sometimes being the bad guy is the more blessed role, right? Sometimes it is much harder to come to Earth knowing you're going to be the bad guy and to play that role for people you love so that they can have the experience that they need. So it's not always, being the bad guy doesn't always mean you're bad. Sometimes a really good person or a really bright soul can come in and play a really dark role. And that's might not be what's happening here because of what they say later, that there is also dark energy on the planet that is needing to purge. And I think this experience that we're talking about here is more of that ilk. This is more of the processing and the stirring up of dark energy on the planet is what this event is all about. So, okay, but they're saying, but not to feel shame, not to feel regret. Those might be things that come to mind as we're processing this. It is only the humanity of exuberant thoughtlessness, of care not spoken, not lived, not taken, heedless disregard for one another's life form. So this is really is the sort of our lower expressions of ourselves before we step into this new level, this new frequency, which is all about care for one another, about like Aquarius is like brotherhood, sisterhood, humanhood, right? It is about our care for one another and working together and unity, which is what we're heading into. So they say, but these feelings they're talking about, they say it will pass. This experience that we're going to move into potentially, it's not guaranteed, it will pass. All right, the next paragraph, they say, this agony left behind, it opens the world further. It entails a gift for opening your hearts further to one another, to leave off the trail of difference and become together once again, to lift your highest mind into love. So this is with all things difficult, there's a benefit on the other side of it. And they're saying this is it, the agony left behind, the feelings that this could create in the world, that it opens us, right? It's starting to open our hearts. And it entails a gift for opening your hearts further to one another, to leave off the trail of difference, which is what we've been on. We're on this right now as all these feelings are coming up all over the planet right now of this polarizations. This is to help us leave off that trail of difference and become together once again, right? To lift your highest mind into love. This is the potential gift that this has within it. This experience. They say, there is no passing uncertain, no deed unrecognized. It harbors in it the echoes of long known derailment for humanity. Others have told of it before. A time has come, a passing. We warn now of it to your essential selves. Your inner vision is locked upon it now. It hearkens the toll it takes, the remembrance it claims upon all who feel. So they're saying we are already aware of this. They're merely talking about it. They're saying that this is in the collective consciousness. Some of you are having dreams about it. Some of you are already talking about it. There's speculation in the media about it. So it's out there. They're just merely bringing it up into awareness and talking about it. And they're saying there is no passing uncertain, no deed unrecognized. So it's not an unknown thing. It's already out there. They're saying it harbors in it the echoes of long known derailment for humanity. So they're saying this unraveling that we're going through has been known about for a really, really long time. And we've seen it coming. We know that you have to shed your layers before you can get clear and then move to a higher awareness. It's a process of unpacking the closet. So this has been known. They're saying others have told of it before. They said a time has come. So we're at a peak moment, a passing. We warn of it now to your essential self. So they are speaking of it to us, trying to help us to make sure that we are aware and open. Your inner vision is locked upon it now, right? So we are seeing these things. It hearkens the toll it takes, the remembrance it claims upon all who feel. So you could be feeling this bodily, right? Those of you empaths who feel the earth movements and feel the changes within the earth, you could be feeling this. All right, next paragraph. They say, we love you all and bless what comes. with life to purge the darkness, to lift the cloud of uncertain fear and make all happenings infused with God's presence. Dark days fear them no longer, shielded by love, by presence, by understanding of yourselves. So they're really telling us, don't worry, like it's going to be okay. And yes, hard things happen and we're going to be okay. The angels are never afraid. Like in the circumstances like this that they're talking about, there would be loss of life. Okay. But that is never scary to the angels because they understand that when we leave this planet, it's just a birth. It's not a death. There's no such thing as death. We're eternal. And they know that when we die, we move on and we go and we're just born in a different way. We're born here and then we're born there. It's all birth. It's always birth. And so it never makes what makes them sad is our difficulty, our sadness, our sorrow, the hardship that we go through, the pain, the loss that we go through. That's what they fear. They don't fear anything, but that's where they recognize the difficulties. And they're saying that if they bless what's coming, and their way of helping us through those difficulties for whatever pain that might come is to bless it. And by doing that, they lift the darkness, right? They bless the experience. And so they lift that cloud of uncertain fear and they make all happenings infused with God's presence. So they take this event and they turn it around and they make it benefit us. They turn it into something we can use for our growth so that we can use this in terms of opening our hearts, just like they were talking about, moving more and further into our own awakening. Shielded by love, by presence, by understanding of yourself. So this is the way that we are protected from the harm that this can create, right? It's through this awareness, by love, by presence, by this being present in our bodies, present and allowing it to move through us, not hanging on to it, not getting derailed by what they were saying before. They said, don't derail yourself by getting attached to destinies you never started. So not getting attached to things that we can't create because the world has changed. Letting go of that and trying to be present in the now and allowing and understand we're moving through something we might not fully understand. But allowing and trusting that we're heading in the right direction, shielded. We're shielded by our presence, by our love, by our understanding of ourselves. And Carrie is saying, I do feel their comfort during this darkness. Yeah, they are right here with us. And you're saying empath feeling all of this. So good to get confirmation. Yes, I totally agree. And you're saying long known derailment. Wow. Yeah, it is an interesting way of thinking about it, isn't it? And they say, okay. They say, this opening occurs by mission to appeal your higher mind into the fragrance of heightened living. You are instructed in many things, and we offer no bargain by which you can alleviate this passage. You may wish to turn an anchor into love and pray for all things to arrive differently. We now see this passage occurring, and it shall as an escort to your opening. So they're saying that there really isn't a way, the way that they see things, like I said, and we've talked about it in other Friday Lives, we talked about how it's like they see these turning shapes of possibility. And as the different ones align, there could be, 8 shapes around us or 6 shapes around us, and maybe 3 of them have this possibility that have aligned with us. So there's this pretty high chance that it could happen. And that's kind of what they're saying. They're saying it does occur by mission. So there can be a purpose in this, which is to help us to grow and to move through it, to open our hearts. But they're saying that even though, many of you are instructed in many things, many of you know how to work with energy, you are attuned to your higher selves, you understand like that your prayer is powerful, that there may be a way we feel like maybe we can prevent this from happening. And they're saying we offer no bargain by which you can alleviate this passage. So the way they see things unfolding, that it's not a thing once things get this close, like when they're right here, it's like the time has passed where we could have changed. It's like our wishing and our prayers, they kind of act out on the further outer layers of things moving towards us. But once things come this close in, it's like there's so many things had to happen to align us with this potential reality. It's much harder for us to have an impact on the timeline. And so they're saying that we offer no bargain by which you can alleviate this message or this passage. They say you may wish to turn an anchor into love and pray for things to arrive differently. And they completely understand that, but they say we now see this passage occurring and it shall as an escort. So at the moment, this is the possibility that they see. It's not guaranteed. Things could arrive differently, and they explain that later. I go back and I ask for more clarity because I was like, are you saying it's definitely happening? What's the deal here? So I asked for more clarity and I got a second message, and I'll share that next. Okay, so the next paragraph, they're saying, the hazards of life, of living, of beginning, all this must form anew and break with old wings. Therefore, lift your minds and hearts to us, and feel certain in the reform that you are living. Let yourselves fall in the timber of this occasion, and go on living. Understand yourselves this tragic now as a passage of demarcation that lifts you all to utter peace in times coming. So this they're saying like that this process we're going through, that, and they call it the hazards of life, of living, of beginning. Like coming to the earth is not there's no guarantees coming here, that we are putting ourselves out on the playing field and anything can happen. And it is a rough and tumble world down here on earth. And it is very possible to come in as a high vibration being and to lose your way and to fall into addiction or into the other energies that can draw you downward. It's very possible. And most of the time not, right? We get all the guidance that they can possibly give us. Most of us are here and we raise our vibration. That's the goal. But they're saying that the hazards of life, right? It is hazardous coming here. All this must form in the beginning, this break that we're making right now. All this must form anew and break with old wings. So we're doing it differently. This is a change that we have to go through. And that unwinding can be painful and difficult. And they say, therefore, lift your minds and hearts to us and feel certain in the reform that you are living. So trust them. Trust the process. And the more that we can do that, the less we feel uncertain and the less fear we have. They say, let yourselves fall in the timber of this occasion. So it will be a lot to process. And they're saying, don't resist that. Let it move through you. Let yourself fall in the timber of this occasion. If this happens, let yourself feel it. And they say, and then go on living. So let it move through you, right? It is important that as the witnesses that we are to what this experience is of living through an ascension, it is important that we allow ourselves to be present for what happens and to process it and release it. That it's not to withdraw or to escape. It is to be here and to feel and to let it move through us, allow, right? Move through us and release it. They say, understand yourselves this tragic now, understanding this tragedy that could happen as a passage of demarcation. So a passage, this is a turning point, right? The mark that we will look back at and we will point to and say that lifts you all to utter peace in times coming. So that is the blessing within it, right? That's the blessing inside. Is it brings us, we're moving through a passage in order to get to a place of utter peace where we don't have karma, right? Where we don't have evil on the planet, like a place where we grow in a way that is much more by choice, right? As opposed to by being pushed up against it all the time through our own fear. So heavy message. Given the heaviness of the message, and before I shared it, I went back and I'm like, come on, guys. Like, is this really, like, should I share this? Number one, they meant it for you guys. And number two, is this for sure happening? Like, what's the deal? So I just asked for more clarity. And then this was what they said. They said, and you're saying, I'm grateful for their past messages of preparation. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And you're saying it's comforting as it's also concerning. I appreciate that, you guys. Thanks for being in this with me. And that's really how I see this, is we are in this together, right? You guys sharing these messages with me. I am grateful. I'm grateful because it is a lot to hold for all of us. And as a group, we can hold it a lot easier. You're saying, wow, one of my first heavy dreams was where a guide told me that I am God's witness. Just got chills. Wow. Yeah. And that's the truth. That is what we are doing. All right, so the second message I just channeled this morning before I shared the message. They said, yes, this we bring on to your awareness. It is a passage of complex undertaking, and it may not arrive yet. It can begin freely, but the arrival of it happening, the happenstance leading up to it, may not transpire. It is an opening of complexity. Therefore, we advise yourself to speak of it, but herald the peace. Be of a mind to transmute the opening. So what they're saying is that they're saying that it is that this event, the circumstances that lead up to this event, the event itself is something that's shown up, and they talked about it in the previous paragraphs. It's something that showed up in predictions, in people are talking about it, people in the collective consciousness. It's out there, this possibility of some sort of a nuclear attack or a chemical attack, and it's been out there and talked about. And they're saying, so that is specific, but the passage leading up to it, those are the things that are variable. How do we get there? How does this, if this is sort of a landmine that's stuck out there, how is it that events lead up to it? And those events are complex. So there's a series of events that lead us to this path, and they're saying that those may change. So there's still, in other words, there's still possibility around this that it might not happen, which is great, right? Really great. But they're saying, so they said, speak of it, but they want us to emphasize, they're saying that we advise you to speak of it, but herald the peace, be of a mind to transmute the opening. So the idea is, in sharing it and talking about it, they want us to focus on the aftermath. If this occurs, focus on the aftermath and the opening that it creates and transmute that, the agony, right, that they were talking about, transmute that to peace, to bring about the heart opening that an event like this could really offer us. So for us as a community, as the healers of the world that you are, if this event occurs, so we are not meant to focus on like it will happen or it won't happen. And it's that part, they're not offering us a pathway to have a lot of impact on that right now. But they are offering us, if it happens, that we should focus on the peace that it brings. Focus on the aftermath. How do we transmute that? And so next paragraph, they say, we arrive to inform, to alert, not to justify. However, we align yourselves with the knowledge of its possibility. It has been predicted, spoken of, and may yet transpire. We wish it does now pass without incident, but the arrival time is nearing. The possibility is here. The potential has dawned and is beginning, and if it comes to pass, we are nearing that evening. So this is really the point of it. So I was trying to get specific. Is this happening? Is this not happening? Why are they warning about it now? Basically, think of it as like a fixed juncture in time. And either we're going to collide with it or we're not. And if we move past it, then that opening is behind us. But the potential of it is nearing. So if it's going to happen, we are getting close to that point. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to you guys. It's a funky way of thinking about time. It's not a particularly human way of thinking about time. It's a very angelic way of thinking about time. But I think you guys are used to it by now. You're saying, Jen is saying peace. Yes. Betsy is saying work on inner peace to help with peace in the world. Yeah, absolutely, Betsy, because you're right. Everything that is in us is a reflection in the outer world. So the more that we can take this into ourselves and transmute what feelings come up into peace, the greater impact that'll have on the world around us. So that is a great comment. Thank you so much. And Carrie is saying, is it more likely than the Earth Rift? The Earth Rift is still there. They're still talking about the Earth Rift. So this is something different. And they have in the past, the angels have said that the Earth Rift occurs in the middle of other turmoil. So the other turmoil, I think that we're not in the other turmoil yet. So I think something like this event, I think the other turmoil has begun, but it's still cooking. Like I think it's building. So, yeah, I hope that makes sense. Okay, the next paragraph, they say, it will open yourselves to greater meaning within your own being. This can be achieved in other ways. The disruptive furor of this ancient being need not exercise itself for your eternal enlivening. It is not a needed passage, but we will make this energy serve you well. It is in keeping with universal flow within your being. It allows for darkness to transpire and lift yourselves from its mire and to be released from its grasp, more full, more intact than you have been previously. So this is what I was talking about what is this energy? And they're saying it's, I think, pretty interesting. They say it will, let's look at the paragraph. It will open yourselves to greater meaning within your being. So we know this is a heart opening. This is self-understanding, understanding of humanity. This can be achieved in other ways. So this is not like, yes, this is a marker, like a fixed point in terms of something that we could collide with, but it's not essential. This is not the only way that we could achieve this type of growth that this is going to bring about if it happens. So the disruptive furor of this ancient being. And so I think this is here they're talking about evil on the planet. The disruptive furor of this ancient being. So evil being very ancient, right? Very ancient being. Need not exercise itself for your eternal enlivening. So they're saying this is not a necessary thing for us to have our awakening. But if it happens, it's going to help us. They're going to turn it into a positive thing and we will use it for moving forward. They're saying it is not a needed passage, but we will make this energy serve you well. And they go on to say it's in keeping with universal flow, because, the angels, like, this works with how we move through energy, that we have to kind of move through things. It's like a way of processing and a way of lifting ourselves. So this type of an experience can have a significant collective positive impact. It works with universal flow. It says it allows for darkness to transpire and lift yourselves from its mire, so it can free us from some of the really stickier aspects of our difficulties, of our own internal turmoil, to be released from its grasp, more full, more intact than you have been previously. So this is kind of, in a nutshell, a hard message, a really hard message. And I appreciate you guys sharing the burden of this with me. And like I said, it might not happen, but there's a high chance that it could happen. And I think it is no accident that this is coming up right now as we're heading into eclipse season. And it's, so anyways, if this is going to happen, we are entering the possibility of it now. So there's that. Okay. And you're saying, Wendy is saying, this is why these conversations are so important. So we can be psyched and prepared to witness and step forward with our energies in consolidation and unity, very collective. Yes, Wendy. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's super important to remember the thing they're always trying to get us to do is to be in a space of allowing and to be present. And that includes for the hard stuff and for the good stuff, both. And to not be too attached to the way we expected life to turn out. And instead to be open with what comes and to recognize the blessings that are coming. And to be ready for those. And when dark things or difficult things happen, to witness those things and to witness the feelings and recognize that even agony is beautiful, that it is a human experience to have that feeling. And those feelings aren't experienced in other places. So there is real, tangible beauty to it if we don't hang on to it, if we let it move through us and we witness and experience, feel, and let it go. And that is the goal for something like that. And then they want us to be present to the possibility of peace and to be focused on that during this process. And that doesn't mean to shut out the hardship. They want us to be present in the hardship, to let it move through us, and then to transmute our own feelings into peace. And by doing that, it helps to transmute this experience for the planet. So you're saying totally agree with Wendy, and even more, as Anne, you are saying, being present. Yeah. So I know that this, like I said, hard message. Thank you guys so much for being present for this, for right now, for receiving this from that higher perspective. And it may not happen. And that is a possibility. If it doesn't, there will be some other way that we are moved closer to that higher perspective that we are all moving into. But if it does happen, then we know, right? We know what to expect. And we are in a good frame of mind to be that witness and to receive it and to allow it, to let it move through us and to step into peace, which is the big promise at the end, right? That we're moving out of the conflict we've been experiencing, the chaos that we're used to, and into a state of utter peace, as they described it. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me for Friday Live. I really appreciate it. Sending you lots of love. I hope you have a beautiful weekend, and I'll see you next Friday Live. Bye, you guys.